Well, good afternoon, Virginia, and welcome to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is our weekly call-in town hall and radio show. I'm State Senator Amanda Chase, your weekly radio show host, serving you in the 11th Senatorial District, which includes all of Amelia, Colony Heights, and most of Chesterfield. I am a Christian, conservative, Republican, and in that order as Vice President Mike Pence so wonderfully articulated, and I'm going to steal that from him. I serve on 4 committees: Health and Education, Transportation, Local Governments, and Privileges and Elections. I'm also co-founder of something called the Transparency Caucus, and we've done a lot of really good work on that. We've talked about that a little bit on the show. Many of the topics that we address on our show are issues that constituents have brought to my attention, and we discuss those on the show. We've been, it's hard to believe, but it's been over a year since we've had these weekly town halls. And I just appreciate our listeners for tuning in today. It's been a really hard week in Virginia. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Events in Charlottesville, Confederate monuments is fresh. I told you major news happens every Thursday, and now you all are starting to believe me because our governor announced today his desire to eradicate Virginia from having Confederate monuments in public places. So we're going to touch on that. We have a lot of healing that needs to take place in our Commonwealth. And I think it's so important that we have a civil discourse over this, and that we listen to each other, and that we seek to understand where the other's coming from. I have a very special guest with me today. As you know, we are having our Meet Your Legislators in Virginia week. Not just week, but actually it's been weeks. And today we have Senator Bill Stanley, and he's going to be tuning in with me today. He's a fellow colleague in the Republican caucus. He serves in leadership there. And Senator Stanley, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon.
Good
Amanda,
afternoon.
how are you?
I am doing fantastic, and I am so excited to have you on today.
It's a real honor to be with you, I can tell you. I've been waiting for this all day. I've made sure that all my clients in court knew that I had to go. I had to be there at 4 o'clock to talk with you, so it's a real honor to be with you today.
Now, Senator Stanley is an attorney for Stanley Hutchins. Did I get that right? Is that how you
Stanley
pronounce
and
it? Hutchins and Griffith.
Yes.
So he is an attorney. And what I love is the story about you encouraged your mom to go back to school to become an attorney. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's exactly right. My father passed away a month after I graduated from law school, or graduated from undergrad. And so I went home, and my mom and dad were very close, and it was very devastating to my mother. And when I was growing up, she always wanted to be a lawyer, she would tell me. But back in the 50s and 60s, women didn't go to law school or weren't accepted to law school even. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, when my dad passed away, I decided that I was going to go to law school. So I returned back to we were living in Northern Virginia at the time. And I made her a promise. I said, "Look, go fulfill your dream. You're not too old for it." And she had left school 1 year early to get her undergraduate before she got her undergraduate degree. And I said, "You go finish your undergraduate degree and then go to law school. And I promise you, if you do that wherever I am, I will quit my job and we'll start a firm together." And she contemplated that, and I guess even thought whether I was serious or not. And she went back to undergrad and got her degree at George Mason, and then went on to law school at George Mason, and I'm sure was known as the Curve Buster. For 1 year of my law school, she was in law school, and when we were children, she used to post my sister and my grades up on the refrigerator, and I was always, I got better grades than my sister did, so it wasn't that big a deal. But during law school, she was getting better grades than I was, and she was posting her grades next to mine on the fridge, which made it tough for my friends who kept saying to me, "Your mom's smarter than you are." And I said, "I know that, but I'm working. She's not working." So she graduated at age 59, passed the bar. I was working in a large firm at the time, and it was at that moment they told me I was going to make partner. And I said, "No, I got to give my 2 weeks' notice." So we started the firm of Stanley and Stanley, which then became Davis and Stanley over the time, and now is Stanley and Houchins. And she's practiced with me ever since. She's 77 years old, still practices every day. I'm so proud of her that she went out and achieved her dreams, and didn't let anything keep her from being what she wanted to be, which she wanted to be since a little girl. So I'm so proud of her, and I wanted to name the firm Stanley and Mom, but she wouldn't let me. I'm serious.
I love it. That's that encourages me, because I was for a period of time, I left the corporate world. I'd worked in S&P 500 companies, and my husband and I made the decision that when our kids were young, that I would, come home and stay with the kids. And I've actually thought about going back to school and getting my law degree, but I have 4 kids that are college age too, that have one that's just graduated from college, one that started college a couple of weeks ago, and 2 starting college in the next 3 years. So
wow. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that's amazing, and that's great too. I mean, you have some wonderful and beautiful children. But look, Amanda, never give up on your hopes and dreams. Never think that you can't succeed. I mean, even becoming a senator was an incredible achievement and shows your determination and drive. You're never too old when you've got that urge and you can make a difference, which you can as a lawyer, and you can make a difference in people's lives. Never give that up. So I'd always encourage you, and when you get your law degree and pass the bar, give me a call. We'll put you to work.
But I will tell you, in my district, some people may not vote for me if I become an attorney. So
it is an impediment. It is. During election years, I say I'm a small business owner.
So meanwhile,
aren't you a lawyer? And I go, well, maybe.
Meanwhile, I'll just refer to my attorney friends who I do trust on issues and get your opinion on different law issues. So you reside in Franklin County with your wife Laura, and y'all have 3 children.
Yes.
And so you also understand the challenges of balancing work and family and this supposed part-time job in the Senate. So
That's right.
So your experience with it? I'm looking back at my notes here to see whenever you came in office. Is what year did you?
I was elected in a special election in 2011 to replace Robert Hurd, who was elected to Congress. He was elected to the 5th District. So that was the 19th District at the time. It was the last year before redistricting. So I won a special election, myself and Delegate Greg Habib down here. He replaced Morgan Griffith, who became a great congressman. And so started then I had to run again that very next year. Or that very year in a different district, now the 20th Senate District. They changed our lines. The Democrats were in control of the Senate, so they redrew all their lines, and they tried to draw me in with Ralph Smith. And I determined for myself that I wasn't going to run against another Republican who was already a sitting senator. So since most of my district had been given to a senator named Roscoe Reynolds, a Democrat, I moved south in southern Franklin County and ran against him and beat him by 644 votes. So that was the year both myself and Bryce and Tom Garrett came into the Senate. So it was a real incredible time. We took the majority back under Tommy Norman's leadership.
That is wonderful. I love that. And I remember when you got in office, and I will tell you, I remember sitting in the Senate gallery, and everybody is under the impression that everything on the Senate floor is completely serious, right? And that was the impression. This is before I got into office. And I'm sitting up there as a citizen, just looking down at there, and I look at that corner over there by the window. And everybody's laughing, and they're having a good time. And I want to say I saw a football.
You did.
And I was just like, what is going on down there? And now that I'm down there in the corner.
You're in my seat.
I'm in your, am I now?
Seat that I was in.
Because they moved me to I think Senator Norman felt bad that I was on the back row, which was actually, I picked that seat next to the window. I figured if things got too hot in that Senate room, I could just hop out that window if things got real bad.
That's right. We were known as the Raucous Caucus, and I like to say that when I got in there, I looked around, and there were a lot of older people, and it was kind of dour, and I said, no wonder they pump pure oxygen into this building to keep them all awake. So, and I work very seriously. I work hard. I play hard, but I like to have a good time, and I think things are funny, and I like other people to laugh. So we started, between myself, Bryce Reeves, Tom Garrett, Jeff McWaters, and Ryan McDougall. Ryan McDougall was the adult in the room, and was trying to shush us all the time. But usually we were playing practical jokes when the moment arose, trying to keep it just light enough so while we understood the serious task that we had, that we were still enjoying each other, having a good time doing it. So it made our clerk of the Senate, Susan Char, very a little tense. She constantly looked over at me and pointed at me, and I always felt like I was in the back of a third grade school being called out by the teacher by her. But she's a wonderful lady, so we have a good time. We do the serious work of Virginia, but at the same time, you've got to be human, and certainly I like to laugh.
Well, absolutely. Well, I am thankful that you're a colleague in there because I agree. I mean, the work that we do is so intense, and you have to have those moments when you can laugh, because the work is so hard and it's so serious and it impacts so many people. And the issues are not easy, and a lot of times they're not easy answers to questions that come up. And I have one thing that has impressed me so much about my colleagues, and I mean all of them, Republicans, Democrats alike.
Even Scott Surville?
Even Senator Surville, who I've had on the show before. Yes, they are working hard for their constituents, and everyone has a sincere interest, not in themselves, but towards their district and making good things happen. We're going to be back in 4 minutes. Stay tuned. Senator Bill Stanley will be with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. All-in-One Services has been Greater Richmond's premier floor, bath, and kitchen remodeler for over a decade, saving local homeowners thousands of dollars. Call All-in-One Services now at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. With All-in-One's A to Z service, you won't need subcontractors. Everything is included. All-in-One also lets you see your kitchen before it's remodeled with 3D software suited for homeowners and contractors alike. You'll quickly see why All-in-One is consistently in the top 5% of Angie's List and a repeat winner of their Super Service Award. With your floor, bath, and kitchen remodeling needs, call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. That's 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
The Chesterfield County Colonial Heights Crime Solvers program needs your help to identify suspects who stole from a construction site. In the evening of Tuesday, July 18th, a white four-door pickup truck pulled onto a construction site on Coyote Drive. Two men who were in that truck loaded a Rigid brand pipe threading machine onto the bed and left the site. The victim told investigators that this pipe threader is commonly used with gas or irrigation pipes. Well, you can see pictures of that suspect truck at crimesolvers.net or on Facebook at crimesolverscch. And if you have information on this larceny or about any unsolved crime in or fugitive wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, submit a tip anonymously through the telephone hotline 748-0660 or through the new P3 app, available on iOS and Android platforms. Remember, if your tip is helpful in solving a case or catching a fugitive, you could receive a cash reward up to $1,000. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and as always, take the time to solve the crime.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
Thanks for tuning in today to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, our weekly call-in radio town hall. And I want to give you all the number because we want you to call it in. It is a town hall, and we want your participation. The number is 804-454-1366. And I welcome you to call in. And I'm on the line here. I have Senator Bill Stanley from Southwest Virginia. And he's one of my colleagues, one of my Republican colleagues in the Senate, who is an attorney. With his wonderful mom, who is my hero now. And she is. You can tell her that.
Yeah, sit with her for an hour. Let's see if she's I'm kidding. She's wonderful.
Oh, my gracious. But you began your law practice in Northern Virginia, and if I understand correctly, it was with former Attorney General candidate Gil Davis. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. I started working for him when I decided to go to law school. I walked into his office and said, I want you to teach me how to be a lawyer, and kind of looked at me funny, and then I said, I'll work for free, and I was hired right on the spot. So,
the price was right.
For him.
Free works.
worked for him all the way through. In fact, that's when we became Davis and Stanley after Mom and I started the firm. He was at the big firm that I left, and he came about a year later. So I practiced law with him, for him, worked for him, and practiced with him as his partner for many years.
So one of your first cases involved was Paula Jones. Let's go back in history. Versus Bill Clinton, which resulted in a favorable 9-0 Supreme Court decision and stood for the position that a sitting president of the United States could still be held to account for his private acts against a private citizen. You're famous.
I don't know about that. A lot of the time, that case started right at the time when I was graduating from law school. So I actually went to my law school professors. We're getting ready for exams, and I said, I got to drop out. I'm working on this case, and I'm flying down to Little Rock, Arkansas. My mom loaned me the money for the plane flight because I didn't have it myself. My professors were nice enough to let me take my exams by facsimile and fax them back in so that I would be able to graduate on time. We went down there, met Paula's the witnesses that saw what they saw, and were immediately convinced of not only what she was saying, but, Amanda, the funny thing is that she didn't want any money. She just wanted her name cleared. There had been an article in the American Spectator which accused her of actually having a consensual relationship with the president. It was very embarrassing to her. And so that day, for 3 days we were in Little Rock, we actually had settled the case with the President of the United States for no money, but for a statement that would have exonerated her good name. And then what we had was a tolling agreement which said, now you can't say anything bad, and none of your people can say anything bad, or we can bring back the lawsuit for sexual discrimination. And overnight, we were actually celebrating with Paula and her husband. Her husband at the time was an Elvis impersonator. And and I was with Joe Camerata and Gil Davis, and we were at a Mexican restaurant. And, when you hear an Elvis impersonator order the chimichanga, it's very funny. I'll have the chimichanga, please. And so as we're sitting there, if you remember back in the day, a show called Crossfire on CNN, James Carville went on that show and said that the Paula Jones case is what you get when you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park. And Paula stood up at that very moment, and she said, I'm not settling. And she walked out, and we eventually filed that case, worked that case for almost 8 years to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court unanimously said that the president was not immune for his private acts, that we don't have a king here in the United States, that we have a leader who is one of the people. And so that was such an important case for me in formative years. But the law that we did and the writing that we did and the briefs and all of that was an amazing thing. And also the media exposure was overwhelming at times, but it certainly taught me a great lesson. I'll never forget that case. Gil Davis and Joe Camerata were unbelievable to work with and for in the matter. And Paula, what I always admired about Paula is she stood up for principle. She went through the media ringer. We look at today in the media. Just think about back then. I mean, it was even worse, even though the 24-hour news cycle was just beginning with cable news programs. And she stood up against the most powerful man in the United States and won. And for that, I'm always proud to have known her and to call her friend and just to have been one of her lawyers in that team.
And you know what's so amazing to me, but not surprising nonetheless, as I've gotten to know Senator Stanley, is that he would go from just finishing law school to like one of the biggest cases that had to deal with the president. That does not surprise me.
I was very fortunate. It's a case of a lifetime. And I tell you, Amanda, as a lawyer, once you sue the president of the United States, everybody else is just a little bit smaller. So it kind of gets you, you're not so intimidated by big things anymore.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the key legislation that you put forward this past year, direct primary care agreements, which I believe I was a co-patron on that.
You were.
So I am happy that bill was passed and signed. Tell folks a little bit about that.
Okay, well, direct primary care is an essential ingredient, I think, in healthcare. Down here, where I'm in Southside and Southwest Virginia, this is where this kind of came from. We were rejecting Medicaid expansion. We have about 19% of people that qualify or are eligible are on Medicaid down here. We have, though, a problem with rural healthcare. That is, it's too expensive. Most people don't have insurance, and we have older primary care physicians. Our primary care physicians' average age is 54. And for every 2 that we lose to retirement or relocation, we don't get 1 back. So we're shedding doctors. So that causes healthcare to go up because the only place that people of low income or low means can go is through the front door of the emergency room. And what this enables doctors in rural areas, but not just rural areas and medically underserved areas, but also everywhere throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia to do, is to basically make an agreement, a contractual non-insurance agreement with their doctor for flat fee services. to bring down the cost of health care, to not involve the insurance companies for your regular checkups or, even your primary care issues when you have the flu or something like that, to allow you to be able to budget what normally occurs in a family budget, as you know. Kid gets a sniffle, skins his knee, maybe breaks a thumb. We're going to our primary care physicians a lot. And what happens is the costs get driven up because the insurance companies get involved. And so what this allows is that private contract, that private agreement between doctor and patient keeps the insurance companies out. That keeps them from dictating what course of treatment you choose to make or choose not to make. And it allows really a closer relationship with the doctor and patient. So I was not only proud to have you as a co-patron on that bill, but it was vetoed last year. We passed it last year, and it was vetoed by Governor McAuliffe. We came back at him strong, and we got some bipartisan support, as you remember. They kept thinking that this was somehow a threat to Obamacare, which made no sense at all. And we eventually got the governor through the help of one of our Democrat senators, George Barker, was able to shepherd it through the governor's mansion and get a signature. So that's a great piece of legislation you and I worked on together.
And let me tell you why this is so time appropriate here. We just found out last week that Anthem is pulling out of Virginia.
Right.
So, and when I say they're pulling out of Virginia, I mean they still have their group plan. So if you have an employer, if your employer is, paying for your Anthem, I mean you're okay. But if you signed up through the exchange and through Obamacare, they're pulling out. And I understand that, I've had some of my contacts. I was actually the one that broke it to the leadership. And thanks to one of my constituents who is a CEO of a company who, I don't know if I should release his name or not because I try to keep my sources confidential, but I just say I really appreciate him letting me know that because it's going to affect our hospitals. It's going to, if you don't have proper insurance, we have all these people that are coming to the emergency rooms, women that are having babies, emergency surgeries, and if the hospital doesn't know if they're going to get paid or not, or feels like they may have to incur more charity care, which they're already having to subsidize, basically, it can affect the viability of our hospitals. And we don't want that to happen, and we won't let that happen, will we?
No. And
Absolutely
I think,
not.
What we're seeing is the final crumbling of Obamacare. I mean, Anthem being one of the largest contributors in insurance companies, and especially here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, for them to not be able to sustain the individual marketplace, that is, when one person buys one policy, that they could not sustain, even with the size of it, the viability of it, shows that this is a broken system that needs fixing. It was broken, it wasn't that it was perfect before Obamacare, but Obamacare put such a weight on it that there was no way that it could succeed. And that's why I think, it was good for us to stand up to Medicaid expansion component in Obamacare, because that's going to be crushing states pretty soon as well. So, it's unfortunate, but we're going to be working very hard, you and I both, rolling up our sleeves, making sure that we can create affordable, quality health care in the Commonwealth of Virginia for everybody.
Amen to that. And we're going to come back in 4 minutes with Senator Bill Stanley of Southwest Virginia. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACT.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A tourist hotspot in Barcelona, Spain, is the scene of the world's latest terror attack. Once again, a vehicle was a weapon of choice. A rented van driven down a crowded sidewalk. A local government official says 13 people were killed. The North Carolina chapter of the Sons of Confederate Veterans denouncing Governor Roy Cooper's call for the removal of Confederate monuments around the state. An Australian lawmaker cites national security in advocating a nationwide ban on Islamic face coverings. Classes canceled today at a suburban Atlanta high school after a teacher shot himself in a classroom. No students were present at the time. Big losses on Wall Street. The Dow closed down 274 points. The Nasdaq dropped 123. The S&P down 38 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Sometimes, what you want most from your car is nothing. No headaches, no surprises, no anxiety when it's late at night and you're on some distant freeway in a thunderstorm. That bit of nothing is everything. And that's what you get when you purchase a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz from your authorized dealer. Because only an authorized Mercedes-Benz dealership has the skilled technicians to certify that your pre-owned vehicle is up to Mercedes-Benz standards. Only Mercedes-Benz can back their certified pre-owned vehicles with an unlimited mileage warranty for up to 5 years, with roadside assistance included. It's time to experience confidence that's as unlimited as the warranty. Visit the certified pre-owned sales event now through August 31st, and you'll receive 2 years of prepaid maintenance and special financing available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, only at your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. You've waited long enough.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just got invited to the prom. Do you A, meet her date?
I need to see your past date report cards, your driver's license, a list of references, and this hair sample.
B, help her pick out a dress.
Don't you just love the long sleeves and turtleneck on this pantsuit?
Ugh.
C, attend the prom undercover.
Mom, what are you doing here?
I'm not Mom, I'm Calvin, the new kid at school.
Or D, capture her big moment.
Let's take a photo of you two. I'm in the middle.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniels Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniels Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniels Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
We know it was them who sent sound bites of Michael Savage to England to get him banned in England. You Nazi rats, you. You left-wing Nazi rats. Half of you are children of Holocaust survivors. You rats, you've been on drugs so long, you don't even know you become the worst scum on the planet.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays, here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820, The Answer.
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, our weekly call-in town hall and radio. And our call-in number is 804-454-1366. And I have a quiz question for you. I want someone to call in, and I have a quote for you, and I want you to tell me who the quote is by. Okay? So I want y'all to pay attention to this. It says, in this enlightened age, there are few, I believe, but what will acknowledge that slavery as an institution is a moral and political evil in any country. Okay, I want you to call in 804-454-1366, and I might even take you to dinner. I want to see who knows the answer to this question. So we're going to continue. Senator Stanley and I are going to discuss the events that have taken place in Charlottesville. We're going to talk about the governor of Virginia, Governor Terry McAuliffe, calling for Confederate monuments to be removed in the state. And I want to hear your thoughts on it. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe is requesting the removal of Confederate monuments in Virginia following the violent rallies and protest in Charlottesville over the weekend. He says, unfortunately, the recent events in Charlottesville demonstrate that monuments celebrating the leadership of the Confederacy have become flashpoints for hatred, division, and violence, McAuliffe said in a statement on Wednesday. I hope we can all now agree that these symbols are a barrier to progress, inclusion, and equality in Virginia. And while the decision may not be mine, I believe the path forward is clear, he added. Well, his statement Wednesday shows a shift in McAuliffe's position on the monuments, because in June 2015, he expressed his support that the monuments were part of Virginia's history. but he's had a change of heart. We're seeing this across the country right now as people see what's happened in Charlottesville. We want to, the localities are trying to decide what do we do with these monuments. And let me just tell you, Senate leadership, House leadership have all issued statements condemning the violence, condemning racism. These are all evil and bad, and I condemn them, and I know Senator Stanley does as well. We don't feel there is any room in Virginia for racism, period. End of discussion. And what we would like to do is talk to you. What does the Constitution say? What does the Constitution say about our freedoms? The right to bear arms, the right to assemble, freedom of speech. I don't agree with this group that came in and got a permit and wanted to have a rally. I don't like what they stand for. It goes against everything I personally believe. But did they have a right to be there and exercise their First Amendment right? And, I hear a lot of people saying a lot of different things. And I think we have to be very careful about feelings because we need to look at the law and we need to take a look at the Constitution and see what it says. So I will tell you personally, this affected my neighborhood. And many of you may have seen, I've been on I was on the news last night and I was talking about, I was at a vigil last night for Lieutenant Jay Cullen, age 48 of Midlothian. We've lived in the same neighborhood for at least 17 years. I know I've been there 17 years with my family. And he was the helicopter pilot that crashed while he was serving in the line of duty. And first of all, I just want to give a shout out to all of our law enforcement, our EMS, who put their lives on the line for us, our police officers, Chesterfield County Police, our Virginia State Police. They're the cream of the crop. I mean, I've enjoyed getting to know these folks since I've been in office, and I work very closely with them. And they're really good quality people. And this is just so personal. Whenever I got the news Saturday night, I had just finished working out, of course, and I was a sweaty, hot mess. And my husband says, that was Jay. And so I just got in my car and I drove to their house. And I just missed the state police and, met some of our fellow neighbors there, close friends in the neighborhood. And honestly, I've been grieving over this tragic loss that took place on Saturday. And we're going to, we were at this vigil. Ryan and Max were there, his two sons. And I used to be the neighborhood swim coach. And this was many, many years ago. But I was a neighborhood swim coach, and they swam on my team. So I really enjoyed getting to know Karen and Jay through that. And they're just... you think about an ideal family, the picture-perfect family. That was them. Karen's a school teacher, just an outstanding family. He was a lieutenant in the state police. He was the highest rank for a pilot, serving from 1994 to 2017. He had 23 years of service. Jay was an avid mountain biker, and he coached the Chesterfield composite cycling team and rode in hundreds of elite races. He was very well respected by cyclists, and all of us who are walkers would many times see him ride by very quickly to our little small pace. He was, cycling right past us really quickly, but just an extremely amazing, patient, and loving person. And all of us who know him, we're dearly going to miss him. And tomorrow night, for those of you who are interested in attending, the visitation is from 5 to 8 at the Chesterfield Chapel of Bennett Funeral Home. And then the funeral service will be at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at Southside Church of the Nazarene. And, it's devastating. And so it's affecting a lot of us personally. And I also want to recognize and remember, who I did not know as well, Trooper Pilot Burke Bates, who is from New Kent County, which is in the Richmond area as well. But he served as a trooper with the Florida Highway Patrol until when he joined the Virginia State Police in 2004. He graduated from Virginia State Police Academy in 2004. And, from what I understand, he had just become a trooper pilot on July 2017 and died one day before before his birthday. I think he was turning 41. And he's got a wife and a twin 12-year-old son and daughter. So his funeral, the visitation is tonight at Nelson Funeral Home, and then the funeral is tomorrow morning at 11 at St. Paul's Baptist Church. And I just want to encourage everyone. I know everyone wants to do something, and I'm going to give you what you can do. You can actually donate to the family. The citizens can donate by mailing a check to the office and note the memo section of your check, either Lieutenant Cullen or Trooper Bates. It's VSPA Office 6944 Forest Hill Avenue, Richmond, Virginia 23225. And if you didn't get all that, just go to the Virginia State Police website, and I'm sure it's on there. And you can donate, and I highly recommend that. I've done a lot of research on the back end because the Senate and the legislature, we give money to the state police so they can function. And I was just curious, about the kids' education, and been working very closely with the Virginia State Police to make sure the boys are taken care of as far as college is concerned. And thankfully, the Virginia State Police is going to be taking care of that part of it. There's still many expenses, as you can imagine. It's just, I don't know how to say it. It's just devastating. I mean, it's just truly devastating. So go online and give. And, we've just got to come together as a country. And, I know both sides want to paint the other side a certain way. And I just want to encourage you not to do that. Let's be civil toward each other as we deal with this whole issue of what do we do with these monuments. And nobody has called in. Do you have any idea, Senator Stanley, of who that quote is from?
I do. I believe that's Robert E. Lee.
You are correct. Does that mean I have to take you to dinner?
That's exactly what that means. I get to pick a spot. I'm going to have steak. Well, and Amanda, let's not forget Heather Heyer, who lost her life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. At the hands of a monster and an ideology that does not fit with the American way. And so we remember her, too. At the same time, we remember the finest that wear the badge for the Virginia State Police. And we keep them in our hearts. And let us not let them die in vain. Let us have a teaching moment and a learning moment and a loving moment where we come together and put down the rhetoric and put down the swords of ideology and really find out once again what it's like to be an American, what it means to be an American, and to be one. Not just talk about unity, but actually do it in the way that Dr. King wanted us to.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. And I think the thing that concerns me the most, and I know as y'all who have been listening, see, I said y'all, you can tell my little accent there, but there are so many major issues that are before us. Health care, education, transportation. There's so many other things that I think we need to focus our attention on. I will tell you that for me personally, and I know everybody's asking me, for a response on this, I think that we should preserve our monuments. I don't think that we should take them down. I'm not a racist, not at all. And anybody that knows me personally knows that I love everybody. You look at both people on the side, and I can say this of Senator Stanley too. I mean, no matter what stripe, political stripe, what your views, I'm going to love you, and I'm probably going to give you a hug. Okay? There's just no bones about it. I love people, and we can agree to disagree on different issues. But I think that taking down the monuments is probably not a good idea, and I think it's going to cause more harm than good. I don't want to stir up this whole racism issue that seems to keep trying to come to the forefront. honestly, Bill, what do we do? How do we? I just want it to go away. Let's just get back to the work of the people of Virginia.
Yeah, and Amanda, I don't know how much time you have, but remember, and it wasn't too long ago that you'd see that the KKK had gotten a permit to have an assembly out in front of the courthouse, and there'd be 6, knuckleheads sitting out there, and everybody walked by, laughed at them, and didn't pay attention.
Right.
The problem with part of what this is a flashpoint, as the governor says, but it's giving them credibility. Mm-hmm. It's giving them a platform. They're living it up because they're getting the publicity. We need to ignore, and by ignore, shunt them from civilized society and the discourse that naturally flows from it. But when it comes to these monuments, they're turning it into a flashpoint. Both sides are turning it into a flashpoint, but it won't stop there. And as I saw in Danville, look, we had a flag on a monument, a Confederate flag, and they were talking about taking it down. And it was on an obelisk monument, just remembering the dead of Danville at the last Confederate White House. A city councilman asked me for advice, and I said, look, you take down that flag, it doesn't end the hate.
Right.
You can take down these statues all you want. You can take down thousands of them. It will not stop the hate. And the problem is that, and I also told them that if you take down this flag, you're going to see 20 more of them. And pretty much when they took down the flag, we see giant, huge flagpoles of people, and expressing themselves. Flags are symbols, and they mean different things to different people. And so, what you ended up with was, instead of one little flag that nobody could really see behind a hedgerow, we now have 8 large giant flags flying across Route 29. So it doesn't end the problem. And it's the simplistic view that bothers me the most, that this somehow will take away all the hate. If it did, I would say take down every monument. Mm-hmm. You can't legislate or take government action to change behavior.
Or people's
Society
hearts.
has the obligation. That's society's role.
That's right. And people's hearts. You can't change. We know this because we have kids. I mean, you can change actions, but not hearts. It's kind of the same thing. People think if we legislate pass a certain law, that it's going to change people's hearts or minds.
Amanda, if that was true, then murder would have been stopped a long time ago when we outlawed that so many hundreds of years ago. Human behavior is human behavior, and God gives us free will. And He gives us the ability to be good and to love everyone, irrespective of their skin color or nationality or race, religion, whatever. And it gives some people the opportunity to be bad and make those decisions. And the thing is when they choose to be on the outside of society, then we need not give them any credence or attention.
That's exactly right.
And of course, the difference between a statue is, it's one thing to remember, it's another thing to revere. And the remembrance is fine, but the reverence that they're now adopting as this is their mantra, this is their flashpoint, that's unacceptable as well.
I completely agree with that statement. And, for me, I have a degree in finance, okay? So I'm not a history buff here, so, I'm in the order of transparency, I'm going to say that. But I do my research. And so I was looking up different quotes by Robert E. Lee, and he said, here's another quote. He says, so far from engaging in a war to perpetuate slavery, I am rejoiced that slavery is abolished. I believe it will be greatly for the interest of the South. So fully am I satisfied of this, as regards Virginia especially, that I would cheerfully have lost all I have lost by the war and have suffered all I have suffered to have this object attained. I'm not a rocket scientist, but it doesn't sound like, when he says that he is the other quote was, slavery as an institution is a moral and political evil in any country. Those are the words of Robert E. Lee. And I just think, what are we doing with history? Have we so watered down history that we don't know what these people stood for? And
it gets down to, look at the societies that have erased history: communist Russia, Cuba, other totalitarian regimes, because they don't want the history to teach somebody something. They don't want people to think for themselves, as history allows. They don't want us to learn. Yes, we are an imperfect union in the sense that we are a flawed history as the United States, but we're here together. And you know what? Every person, every man, woman, and child who died so that we may live free is not getting their due when we fail as a community, as a society, to come together and to really to not only enjoy the fruits of freedom, God-given freedom, but also ensure that the liberties of others are likewise respected. Absolutely. And that's the real tragedy. And until we can talk all we want, but until we act, we can rip down all the monuments you want, but until we act on on the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King, until we act on really the legacy that we were left by those who lived in oppressed times, then until that time, that we cannot come together, and we're going to see more of this, and this is going to be truly tragic and heartbreaking.
Well, very well said, as always. And I'll tell you, Senator Stanley is one of the most articulate state senators in the Virginia Assembly, and he's right on. And, you know, it's just, I'm at a loss of words. I mean, we've got to come together.
Yeah.
We've got to show love toward each other, not hate. And we need to respect each other's feelings, and different symbols mean certain things to certain people. My concern right now from a religious liberty standpoint, and we'll talk when we come back we're getting ready to have to go to a break, is what next? Are we going to scrub the crosses out of any assemblance in the State House? I mean, no.
They're trying to do that.
Yeah, at the federal level especially. Stay tuned. We've got a break here. We'll be back in 3 minutes, so stay tuned. Senator Bill Stanley.
Why do I have a problem with millennials? And I'm sick and tired of hearing the word, and I'm sick and tired of catering to them, and I'm sick and tired of hearing what they think, because they don't think. All they do is spew the data that they get off an iPhone or what's been put into their silly little heads in the public schools.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820, The Answer.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155. All-in-One Services has been Greater Richmond's premier floor, bath, and kitchen remodeler for over a decade. Call All-in-One Services now at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. With All-in-One's A to Z service, you won't need subcontractors. Everything is included. With your floor, bath, and kitchen remodeling needs, call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. You'll quickly see why All-in-One is consistently in the top 5% of Angie's List. That's 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
Get your daily inspiration on our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on AM 590 and 107.7 FM. The Truth Network is now on 107.7 FM, just up the dial. For 24 hours of encouragement, enjoy 107.7 FM. Realign your focus on the most important things. Just turn your dial to our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on 590 AM and 107.7 FM.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
Are you passionate about liberty? Then join Americans for Prosperity and hundreds of Virginians at the premier grassroots event in the country. The Defending the American Dream Summit is coming to Richmond this August 19th. Come hear top leaders discuss how we're rolling back big government policies that destroyed jobs and hiked our healthcare costs. Save now with early registration. Visit defendingthedream.com today. That's defendingthedream.com. Paid for by Americans for
Well, guys, we're back for the final wrap-up of Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase and Senator Bill Stanley from Southwest Virginia. And Senator Stanley, I do want to thank you again for coming on today. The time has just flown. It's just incredible.
Well, it always does with you, and I just want to know now that I've cut to the chase. So I'm very excited that I've now done that.
One last thing I want to add in here, we're in Virginia where a lawsuit is proceeding over the Charlottesville City Council's proposal to remove the Robert E. Lee statue. There is a state law that bans cities that attempt to disturb, quote unquote, disturb or interfere with historic monuments and memorials. And the law, which Charlottesville officials have fought previously, stopped attempts in Alexandria, Loudoun County, from removing Confederate statues. So it's going to come down, and I do appreciate the governor saying that we're the ones in the General Assembly that ultimately have to make that call. So I'm glad he recognizes his boundaries this time.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to call us in special session to make a political point on a very serious issue before the election. So let's hope he doesn't. Let's hope he thinks wiser of that. But that is a possibility, and he's grandstanded before. So ultimately, what he's doing is unfortunately politicizing a very tragic thing where we need more than politics here. We need humanity, and we need solutions. And that should be on us as much as we can, but the rest is on us as human beings and individuals to make it work.
That's exactly right. And, I have to say this. I've heard rumors and I've seen it in the news media. He's attempting to prepare himself to run for president at some point.
Right.
And whenever I turn to my national news and see, that's what Virginia is doing today, it's just, it can be disheartening. So, we got to take the politics out, and we've got to do what's best for our constituents, which involves having these conversations and continued dialogue. Gosh, I can't believe we're already at a time. It's just hard to believe it goes so fast. Bill, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's truly an honor, and let's do it again sometime. You got a great show, and it was a lot of fun talking to you today and talking about really important issues that matter to people. So I thank you for what you do in the service to your people.
Well, and thank you as well. And we're going to have Senator Stanley on again, and I'm hoping during session. Last time I had to get a host and then call in as I could, but we're going to try to figure out a way where we can interview our legislators that we have. You have so many pieces of legislation here that everybody needs to know about that. I'm just looking at my list over here that we didn't even get to today. So anyway, y'all are going to have to keep tuning in every Thursday from 4 to 5 on our weekly town hall, where you can call in and get answers to your questions. And we don't shy away from controversial issues.
You cut to the chase.
That's right, baby. We cut to the chase. That's right. It's no grandstanding over here. We're just going to call it like we see it. So tune in, and it's great if you can't catch us on AM 820. We are now on FM 97.7. We cover a quarter of Virginia. So tell your friends and tune in to next Thursday's Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. Stay tuned.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. My Contractor. My Contractor. My Contractor. My